Chapter 1. Books burned so easily. Paper tanned in the fluttering heat, then sparked sullen red at the edges. Flames left fragile curls of ash. Leather bindings smoked and shriveled and blackened, just like burning flesh. Jess Brightwell watched the fire climb the pyramid of books and willed himself not to flinch as each layer caught. His brain raced with involuntary calculations. 100 books in 5 layers. The burning bottom layer? 44 gone. The second level held another 32, and it was already billowing dull smoke. The next had 18 more volumes, then 5 on top of that. The pyramid was capped by one lone book that sat tantalizingly ready for the grabbing. Easy to save as the flames climbed the stack, consuming layer after layer and burning something inside him blacker and colder. If I could just save one. But he couldn't save anything. Even himself at the moment. Jess's head hurt fiercely in the glare of the sun. Everything was still a blur. He remembered the chaos of London as the Welsh army descended on it, a battle even he had never imagined the English would lose. He remembered the mesmerizing sight of the dome of St. Paul's catching fire above them as librarians struggled to save what they could. He remembered his father and brother, when it counted, turning their backs on him and running. Most of all, he remembered being forced into the translation chamber and the sickening, ripping sensation of being destroyed and created again, far, far from London, here in the burner-held city of Philadelphia, sent to the rebellious colonies of America. Jess and his friends hadn't been granted any time to recover. They'd been dragged, still sick and weak, to what must have once been a sports stadium. In better times, maybe it had been filled with cheering crowds. Now it was half-ruined, melted into a misshapen lump on one side of the concrete stands, and instead of a grassy field in the middle, there were bare ground and a funeral pyre of books. Jess couldn't take his eyes off them as they burned, because he was thinking, sickly, we're next. "Jess," said Scholar Christopher Wolfe, who was on his knees next to him in the dirt. "They're not original books, they're blanks." That was true, but Jess didn't miss the tremors running through the man either. The shine in Wolfe's dark eyes was made of pure, unholy rage. He was right. Blanks were just empty paper and bindings provided by the Great Library of Alexandria, vessels to hold words copied on command from originals kept safe within the library's archives. These were empty symbols that were burning. In any library territory, they'd be cheaply and easily replaced, and nothing would be lost at all. But seeing them destroyed still hurt. He'd been raised to love books, for all that his family had smuggled them, sold them, and profited from them. Words were sacred things, and this was a particularly awful kind of heresy. As he watched, the last book shivered in the rising heat, as if it might break free and escape the fire, but then the edges crisped, paper smoked, and it was gone in rising curls of ash. Scholar Kalila Seif knelt on his left side, as straight and quiet as a statue. She looked perfectly calm. She had her hands resting lightly on her thighs, her head high and her hijab fluttering lightly at the edges in the hot breeze. Beneath the black silk scholar's outer robe she wore a still clean dress, only a little muddy and ashen at the hem from their progress through London. Next to Kalila, Glyne Wotton looked as if she were only momentarily frozen in the act of rising, a lithe warrior, all vibrating tension. Beyond her was Thomas Schreiber, then Morgan Holt, then, last and least in Jess's thoughts, Dario Santiago, outcast even among their little band of exiles. To Jess's right was Scholar Wolfe, and beyond him Captain Santi. That was the entire roll call of their party of prisoners, and not a single useful weapon among them. They'd not had time to make a plan. Jess couldn't imagine that any of them had much worthwhile to say just now. There was an audience in the crumbling stands, the good citizens of Philadelphia, a ragged patchwork crowd of hard men and women and children who'd survived starvation, deprivation of all sorts, and constant attacks. They had no pity for the pampered servants of the Great Library. What would Wolfe tell them if he had the chance? That the Great Library was still a great and precious thing, something to be saved, not destroyed? That the cancer that had rotted it from within could still be healed? They'd never believe it.